Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, great. So today I would probably take few minutes, okay, initially in the call to just give a very high level of what this product is about, okay, and rather spending more time on the deck, I would like to show you the application itself, okay, so that you can have a feel of how the product looks like in case someone is new to this product, right? And what are the things, right, that we can do at least on a high level, whatever is possible within this and our session, okay, I will try to show you those things, okay. But let's start. Okay, so today's agenda is mainly couple of things, right? One is a quick introduction of Sterling B2B Integrator, and then I would show you the dashboard. Okay, how it looks like when you access and things like that. Okay, so so as you know, right, this is a product which is owned by IBM, right? Initially, this product was with Sterling Commerce. There was a company called Sterling Commerce that used to own this, and then later it moved to AT&T, and then from AT&T, IBM purchased it, and since then it is now with IBM, okay, and they have like revamped the naming convention. Right now, they don't say IBM Sterling B2B Integrator. They have removed the Sterling name in convention. Still, we do use the term Sterling too frequently because we are used to it, but it is right now called as IBM B2B Integrator. So this is I think number one B2B application out there in the market when it comes to a traditional B2B ecosystem, right? Okay, there are competitors of IBM B2B. Okay, like we have Axway, Seaburger, Tibco, GXS, and there are a lot of more new MFT products that are coming out in the market, right? Like GlobalScape or few other are there, but predominantly, okay, the majority of the integration like projects that we have done or that are out there in the market, or the opportunity out there in the market. If someone is asking me, okay, what is the future, okay, a huge potential is there, okay, if you learn this product, considering the fact how much IBM is investing in revamping the entire product and making it more microservice based as a roadmap. And there, so a lot of work is going on even to modernize this product from what it was in the beginning. Okay, so and they're trying to kind of leverage the cloud modernizations, okay, the latest integration technologies out there and latest visibility stuffs and everything. So a lot of things are going on, okay, when it comes to a roadmap in respect to Sterling B2B integrator. Okay, so it's always good to learn this tool. Okay, if you can learn this, okay, I think from a career point of view, from it would be very helpful to you guys. Okay, and you will understand that in the future. But anyhow, okay, coming back to the topic, okay, I have shown here a quick architecture diagram, right, where you see, as I was mentioning in our last call, the EDI session, right? Ideally, uh, there is a sender and a receiver, right? So between that, when we are sending or receiving files, mostly those are internal file formats that we're trying to send or receive, right? And but we need to speak the same language, right? And for that, we need to have some kind of translation that would convert maybe some different language to maybe English, okay, for example, or in our EDI terms, okay, maybe like, let's say my requirement is that the partner, okay, whatever format they're sending, okay, I should be able to recognize that maybe an EDI document, right? So there has to be some kind of translation in place, right, in either ends to be able to process the data. Okay, So ideally, okay, if you see there is a DMZ layer, okay, and there are external partners or there are third party systems out there in the internet, right? And DMZ means, okay, you will have, like, let's say whatever you see on the right hand side is basically within your corporate network, where you have internal and external firewall, and you have a demilitarized zone where you have something called perimeter servers, or ideally a proxy server. And then we'll come to that, okay, those things later on, okay, maybe in next sessions. But ideally it's a proxy server, okay, and that is protecting your Sterling integrator or other corporate systems, okay, by uh, uh, like by breaking the sessions in the perimeter server and then forwarding the traffic to Sterling integrator wherever it is installed, right? But ideally, if you see the architecture of Sterling integrator, you have something called like there are clusters, okay, that you can have within Sterling integrator for high availability. Okay, so if you have a single node installation, something happens to Sterling integrator on that server, okay, ideally your entire B2B system is down, right? That should not be the ideal case in production scenarios. So we have something called cluster, where we have maybe a two node cluster, okay, where if one node goes down, the other node should be able to receive the files or process the files, so there is no impact to the external world, and you are able to still do EDI transactions, right? So there are, so that has to be there. So something called high availability, okay, we achieve that through clustering. Um, and and when it comes to I told you, okay, there are two critical things, okay, in any B2B application. One is it has to be intelligent enough to do the translation part of it, like converting one data format to another data format. So translation is a big part of it. The other part of it is the transmission part, where you're using different standard protocols out there. So your product should be able to support those various protocols, okay, and send or receive files using those protocols, right? So on the left hand side, if you see, you have different protocols listed. These are not the only ones that it supports, but I'm just listed the top ones, right? Okay, and on the right hand side, other than translation, okay, you have something called process engine. I'll show you what is process engine. It's basically a workflow, end-to-end workflow that you design within a Sterling integrator application. So let's say you receive a file, right, from a partner, and you need to do something. You need to do some kind of data messaging on that. You need to add some business logic to that, and then after doing all those executing all those business logic, you need to send it to some internal applications, right? So who takes care of that business logic? That is done through the process engine, or we typically call it in Sterling integrator is called business processes. Okay, so we write certain business processes in a certain language, which is called BPML, or business process modeling language. I'll show more in detail later on, but ideally, okay, just to give a highlight, okay, it's not only the mapping part that you have to take care, but you need to also be able to write business processes where ideally, okay, what happens to a data when it comes in, okay, what are the business logic that we're applying, and then in addition to that, we are converting the data and then sending it to the internal system. So this everything is taken care within the application using like a business process. Okay, so that is taken care in the business process engine layer. And you have different adapters, right? Adapter is something, okay, where you have some third party systems, like maybe some internal applications like SAP, or order management system, or any other, like maybe some file system. So you should be able to write or send the files to those internal applications which are outside of your Sterling integrator, which are done through adapters. So adapters are nothing but it does a small piece of work, okay, and different adapters are there to connect to different systems. So those are actually you need to use them in your business process when you design them. Okay, so there's something called adapters and services. Services are something, okay, where you are doing some work within the applying some business logic within the Sterling integrator, and adapters are something where you are using those adapters to communicate or send or receive the file to an external system. So it's something called, we call it as adapters and services, right? Partner management is something where you are like doing your trading partner onboarding, right? So typically, okay, the partner management module that you have within them, there are certain things, okay, where you have to use them, okay, to onboard certain partners using certain protocols. So there are ways, okay, if it is a SFTP partner, how do you trade onboard them? If it is a AS2 partner, how do you onboard them? So there are certain ways, okay, to do that within the dashboard that I'm going to take you through today. Monitoring and alerting, okay, obviously very critical for any B2B application, which is like you need to have proper logging, so that if something fails or you are trying to troubleshoot, you should be able to look into the logs and see what's going on, what has happened, and how do you remediate that, right? And obviously, alerting means based on certain rules that you set, you should be able to get automated email alerts or tickets, okay, that should get generated if something fails within the system, and then you need to take a look into those tickets or those emails, okay, to see what the issue is, and ideally fix them, right? So you should be alerted that everyone cannot like go every time in the log. So ideally alerting is the first step, okay, where you get alerted through emails or incidents, and then you look into the logs later on to debug the issue, right? So that's there. And there is something in the middle. If you see mailbox repository, it is something, okay, it's when you call mailbox, it's typically it's a virtual file system that we call within Sterling Integrator, but ideally it's just a postbox in the sense like you someone, like let's say you have a postbox in your home, right? And a postman comes and delivers a letter, right? Even if you're not at home, right, you still can, like once you're back at home, you can go to your mailbox and get the letter, right? So ideally you don't have to be always present in the house to receive a letter, right? Their mailbox is something, okay, where someone can deliver a message, for example, or a letter, I mean to say, as an analogy, okay, and you can still receive the message later on once you're back, right? So something like that is a virtual file system where the data can be dropped, okay, or the data can be placed, or and then it can be processed later on, or it can be processed as soon as it arrives in a mailbox. It's kind of a repository that we talk about in layman terms, okay, within Sterling Integrator. And you have something called a web-based dashboard, okay, where you can monitor or where you can configure all those things. You can have a centralized graphical interface, okay, that is nothing but a web-based interface, okay, and I'm going to show you that web-based interface today. So that's pretty much it, okay, from just a high level architecture. Few more things, right? As I mentioned, it's a transaction engine, and obviously it has certain set of components that I just mentioned. It supports high volume of messaging, right? So it's very robust application. To be very specific, okay, it can handle millions of messages per day, as long as your infrastructure is properly provisioned, okay, and you have that network, your servers are having proper CPU, memory, everything is proper in place, okay, you should be able to even transact in millions, okay, per day messaging. So that kind of high volume we're talking about, okay. It can obviously support complex routing. When I say complex routing, obviously the business logic that I was talking about, okay, it's not only the maps, okay, converting the message from one format to another, but typically we add more rules to it, okay, based on our requirements or the business requirements. So those complex routing are achieved through business process workflows and certain other things, okay, within the application. And obviously the transaction, I have spoken about it. And other than that, obviously it's very secure. When I say it's secure, okay, there are like it does support different kind of encryption algorithms. It has different like certificates, okay, that you can use, SSL certificates, which are right now moved. Like the latest one is TLS 1.2, TLS 1.2. It does support TLS 1.2 as well. So like any communication that you are doing, either SFTP or HTTP, is very you can apply those kind of like certificates or public private key stuffs, okay, as and when required, okay, based on which protocol you're using to obviously receive or send data, right? You don't want some malicious user, okay, sniffing in your data when you're sending the data out there in the internet. You want them to be securely transferred over to the trading partner on the other side, and you should be able to receive the data, okay, from your trading partner without any change in the data, or someone is sniffing and getting hold of the data, because you are dealing with certain like data which are very critical to a company. For example, you're transacting some protected health information where you have your SSN details, or you have some, like, let's say for like your some Aadhaar card information, right? You don't want to lose them, okay, or you don't want to kind of like uh, some you don't want someone to get access to those data, okay, which are very specific to you and your security, right? So those kind of things, okay, you can achieve through this product, okay. uh, Other than that, obviously, I spoke about the graphical interface. What else? uh, yeah, service and adapters, I spoke about that. And then you have mailbox, that is stored and forward, visibility, and all those things. Yeah, so I think I have pretty much spoken about that. uh, okay, let's move on.
Hi,
Sure, go ahead. Any questions?
sorry to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Is this session being recorded? So the people who are
I am recording. Okay, I'm not sure how much. Like, I'm recording through my client Teams. Okay,
okay,
I'll
okay,
yeah. So I will have a recording. Obviously, now how I will be able to share that is a different uh, question. Okay, because of the security and everything. But I'll see. Okay, how we can
okay, fine.
share that.
Which
Yeah.
means people who aren't in shift can work on it, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I was also like, as I before I go to the application walkthrough, okay, I had certain more slides, okay, where I was like trying to jot down, like from an installation point of view, right? Like, I always have seen, like, whatever interviews we take, or like candidates, right? Like most of the people, right, they tell, okay, I have done some kind of mapping. Someone tells, okay, I have done some kind of business processing modeling and all those things, okay. But when we go somewhere deep diving, right, in those technical interviews, I've always seen, okay, that people doesn't have the knowledge, right, how to install an application, right? Like, when I say I'm proficient in a particular application, right, end to end, I think the first thing you should know is how to install the application, right? That's very critical. But I have seen, like, most of the people, okay, they already have started working on a project where the application is already installed, and they have no idea how application is working. They have no idea where it is installed, or they have no idea how to even install it, okay. So I have seen, okay, in certain support issues, right, when we get into certain like certain issues, okay, within a production support area, it's very tedious, or it's very difficult to troubleshoot those issues. If you're not aware, okay, at least on a high level, right, how the application is installed, what are the typical things, okay, that are running behind the scenes, right? So I think from a application developer point of view, right, or someone who is working on an application, you should be familiar with what are the things that are needed for an application installation part of it, okay. So as I was mentioning, right, I cannot show you right now, okay, how we can install it, okay, because it's a tedious process. But at least from a high level, whenever we try to install, right, B2B integrator, there are certain prerequisites, as I was mentioning, and that is the reason it is very difficult to install it on your laptops, right, for your own hands-on. So typically, when we start any application installation or any upgrades, we need to first make sure there are certain hardware and software requirements that we need to verify. That is the first stage of the application installation. So when I say hardware and software requirements, obviously hardware means, okay, there are certain, like for B2B, right, there are different versions. Okay, so now which version of application you are installing for B2B, uh, that particular version, okay, has a hardware uh, expectations from IBM documentation point of view, that it has to be this version of Linux, okay, or it has to be this Windows server, like maybe Windows Server 2012. Okay, it doesn't support maybe Windows Server 2008. So now if you are installing on 2008, you will get an error because it doesn't meet the minimum hardware requirement, right? So there are certain minimum hardware and software. Like let's say when I talk about software, right, it has to be let's say uh, there has to be like JDK. There are certain JDK version that has to be installed prior to your B2B application, right? So those hardware and software requirements verification is the first stage that you need to be familiar with. Okay, so there are ways, okay, how you can do that, where the documentation is. Maybe at the end of this call, okay, I will show where the documentation are, or even if someone wants to like, if someone wants to read, right, okay, you can learn everything about this application just by using Google. Okay, there is the entire documentation is available publicly over the internet. So if you want to learn each and every area in detail, you can go and take a look and you can read at your leisure. Okay, so there is no like from a documentation point of view, there is no dearth of it. Okay, but obviously, as I mentioned, okay, you won't find any specific recordings or stuff like that in YouTube or anywhere. Okay, there are, okay, but they are very limited and not in detail, or someone who has not done work on it, right? So coming from them doesn't make any sense. But anyhow, so as I mentioned, okay, you need to have proper JDK versions, operating systems, disk space, obviously how, and then the database version. There are certain requirements from a database version point of view. If you're using Oracle, what is the database version that you need to have? If you're using IBM DB2, same thing. JDBC driver version, okay, obviously attached to the database. And so for that, okay, you have something called compatibility matrix, okay, that you can search for that particular version, and then you can start the installation as long as you meet all the minimum requirements. Okay, and then first process is, before you even install the application, you need to install the database and then configure it. Okay, because Sterling Integrator is a database centric application, and most of the issues, okay, that we face, okay, are mostly related to either the application is not able to talk to the database properly, or that there is an issue on the database side. Okay, so ideally database is very critical when it comes to B2BI. Okay, so you need to be like, at least have some kind of high level understanding of different database SQL queries, how to look into the different tables, or stuff like that. Okay, so but you don't need to be an expert in those things. Okay, so I think database installation is first part of it, and then when I talk about installation methods, okay, there are two ways of installing. Okay, one is a graphical interface, okay, where which is nothing but there is a tool called IBM Installation Manager, or IIM. So that's a Eclipse based product that you need to install in your system, and then when you open it, okay, you need to upload the product files location where you have stored them after downloading it from the software vendor, and then you need to give certain information like the database information, the JDBC information, the JDK path, and all those things. So it's a graphical interface where you go next, 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 and you provide all the relevant information. It checks all those things, and then you can start the installation using the IIM. If it fails, you should be able to go to the logs and see what exactly was the reason of the failure, and then you need to fix those things and then rerun the uh, application installation. There is another way, okay, where you, instead of giving all this information in different windows that it will be prompted to you in the GUI, you can use a response file. This is nothing but a text file where you have, like, there is a structure to the text file. So in that text file you put all the information, okay, where the what is the JDB, what is the database name, right? What is the what you call the user ID, the password, the IP addresses, port number, all those details. Okay, that you are getting prompts in the GUI. You can give it in the text file, and you just give that input to the installation manager that this is the text file location. It will read the text file, and you will get all the information that you already have, like that you were using in GUI, and it will install it silently. Okay, it's a silent installation method that we call it in our terms. Okay, so there are two methods of installing installing integrator. Okay, but anyhow, and then when you install it, right, it is going to, let me show you even. Uh, yep. So mostly like our installations in our typical what you call client systems, right? They are mostly on Unix or Linux. Okay, we really have not seen clients, okay, installing integrator on Windows. So mostly you need to be familiar with Linux or Unix commands because they are mostly installed on those kind of servers. Okay. So when you install it, right? Okay, so basically, like, let's say there's a path, right, where it will be installed on the Unix box, right? So you need to know, okay, how the structure looks like. So this is the install folder. Okay, if you see, this is the install folder. Apps SI5263 install, though it is not 5263, it's now 603, but we have used the same location for upgrading it to 603. But this is how the folder structure looks like, with all different folder subfolders under that, okay, within the product, right? When you install it, and then the critical thing, there are a couple of folders which are more important. Okay, one is something called properties folder, okay, where all kind of properties files are there. Okay, and we see a lot of times, okay, that we need to update something on the property file. Okay, there, and then we need to be aware of how to update the property file, what each property file consists of. We need to be familiar with that, but that's just a high level I wanted to show you. And the other place which is important is bin directory, okay, where you have the start stop scripts. Okay, like if you want to stop the server, how do you stop it? If you want to start the server, okay, how do you start it? So those kind of, and there are more scripts out here, okay, which are needed as and when. Okay, but for depending upon your requirements, okay, you need to be familiar with this folder. And then there is another folder called logs folder. Okay, so I was mentioning that okay, not here. So these are all the logs file. Okay, which is getting updated every second, okay, from the system. So you need to be like, if I want to, let's say, do some debugging on some SFTP issue, right? Okay, so I know that I need to go to the latest folder, okay, latest file. Okay, I need to see the timestamp, and I need to be able to let me see. Uh, mhm. So let's say if some error happens, I should be able to go in and look into all the details of the SFTP logs, right? So there are, like, for each and every process, okay, you have a different logging. Okay, so you need to be familiar with these log folders, and quite frequently you guys have to go there. Okay, so anyhow, coming back to our topic. Okay, this is something as I was mentioning. Let me see, where is it? Okay, so you will have a web interface, okay, something like this, okay, where you have the server name, uh, where you have installed it, the Linux box, and then for a colon, okay, and followed by that you have a base port number. When I see 20,000, it is the base port, okay, where it is installed. Ideally, when you install, okay, you need to give a base port, okay, which should be open. So if you, and then there has to be I think 1000 or 2004, I don't remember the exact number, okay, but there has to be consecutive ports, okay, that has to be open starting from 20,000, because certain ports are being used for certain reasons, okay, from the application point of view. So if I so this is, but when you access the web UI, okay, it has to be the server name colon the base port number slash dashboard slash login. So this is how the UI would look like, okay, when you start opening for the first time, or going forward, right? So you need to key in your password. So this is how the application looks like, right? Okay, when you land in, okay, the first page, it will show whether there are any system errors and all those things. And then if you see, there's a tool, something called run graphical process modeler. This is nothing but when you click on go, it is basically going to open a graphical process modeler. It is a UI, or I mean to say, it's uh, an application, okay, where you do the designing part of it. I was mentioning that business process or workflow designs, okay, you need to use the graphical process modeler. And people, I think there are more trainers, okay, in future sessions they will take you through more details of how to access it, how to design a workflow and all those things. But this, for this session, I'm just showing you how the application looks like, okay. I'm not going into details of all these things, okay. Anyhow, if you see on the left hand side, you have different tabs, okay, and you need to be very familiar with all these kind of tabs, okay. If you see, there's business process and there are sub uh, folders under that, right? And each of, like, if you want to see, okay, I want to see what are the current processes, right? I should be able to see all the current processes that are running. These are all business processes that I was mentioning. This is the ID of each and every business process. And if you click on this name of the business process, it has, see, if you see, this is a business process definition, and it has all the codes, okay. These codes are written, if you see, it looks like a XML, right? This code is written in something we call it as BPML, or business process modeling language, and that language is basically nothing but a kind of a XML coding, okay, that we do. So ideally, you don't have to code all these things, okay. This all gets auto created, okay, when you use the graphical process modeler and drag and drop certain things. Like, you will have stencils called HTTP client begin session service in the graphical process model. If you drag and drop, most of the code would automatically get created at the back end. But there are certain things that you need to key in that process modeler from a parameter point of view, what parameters you're going to pass, okay. So those things you need to be it will have those parameters already there. You need to key in those information from the process modeler. So that way you can design those business processes, right? And if you see, like, there are certain processes that are calling other processes. So it's something, we have a concept called parent and child, okay. So there are parent processes that are calling sub processes, and then maybe that sub process is calling another sub process, right? uh okay, what happened? I just got kicked out. Anyhow, so this is where you can search for current processes. You can search by names. You can search based on, like, let's say, EDI correlation. I can search on what is the sender ID, what is the receiver ID, any data that I want to search, right? You can search communication sessions, right? You can list all the business processes. Like, if you go here, okay, if you click on here, it will show you all the processes that are out there in the system, okay. There are certain system processes, and there are custom processes as well, okay. So when you install the application, there would be default processes already there in the system. But when I say business process design, ideally I'm talking about the custom processes that you need to design, okay, that are not the default ones. So other than that, trading partner tab is where we use it mostly for the onboarding part of it. So if you see, you have AS2 protocol that you can use this tab, okay, you can use it to onboard a AS2 partner. SSH is nothing but, if you want to onboard a SFTP partner, you need to be doing all those things over here. If it is AS3, then there are other tabs, PGP encryptions, right? Those kind of setups. So this trading partner onboarding, and then I was talking about if you see certificates, right? CA certificates, or if you have a system certificate that you need to use on in like maybe an HTTP communication methodology that you want to use, so you can use those this like folders or these particular tabs, okay, to do those kind of trading partner onboarding related tasks, okay, within this. And then deployment is mostly like you have different kind of schedules, right? Okay, that you want to invoke at a certain point of time, or you want to like I was talking about mailboxes, right? You want to configure some mailboxes, some folders for your trading partners and give access to those specific folders only. You can do those things over here. Obviously you don't want to have a folder, okay, where everyone has access to, right? You might want to restrict certain trading partner to specific to their mailboxes, right? They can't, they shouldn't be able to see other folders or other people's mailboxes, right? So you can restrict those things using this mailboxes tab, okay. So hell lot of things, okay. Like if you want to I was talking about, like, let me even show that. That way, if you just do a Google, uh, let it open. Meanwhile, okay, what else? Operations. This is very important from a production support point of view. Very frequently we go into operations, okay, and when I say operations, if you see, there is something called troubleshooter. And then if you want to even stop the system from UI, you can do that. I was talking about cluster installation, right? If you see, this is my dev box, so I don't have a another node. I have a one node installation, and another is called AC1, that is called adapter containers. But that's too detail, okay. I don't want to get into that, okay, right now, because it will be too much for you guys at this point. But if I go to my production system, I will have similar to what you see here, node 1. You will have another node 2, okay. So that's a cluster installation, active cluster, where we have two nodes that is handling all the data processing, okay. And if you want to see the host information, what is the host, where is it installed, okay, and how much memory is available, all, what is the uptime, how long it is running since the last restart, and all those things, you will have all those information here. So this every tab, if you see over here, like database usage, right? uh, so if you want to see, okay, is my database healthy, how much space is available already in the database, how much is used, all this kind of information you should be able to see in this database usage tab, okay. And then there are a lot of other things, like there are business process queue usage, okay. If you want to see, okay, how the queue statistics are, there are 9 queues within the business within Sterling Integrator, okay, that are used for processing files, okay. So are those queues healthy enough? If there are any hung processes, if you see, there are certain states of business processes, okay, that they can go in. If you want to see, okay, how many are active processes, what happened to these halted processes, what has happened to this, okay. If you want to do debugging, okay, you need to be familiar with these kind of tabs, okay. But I will not go into details right now, as I mentioned. But anyhow, so operations tab is mostly used for production support folks, okay. They should be familiar with these tabs, okay. Other than that, if you see, I was okay, so let me, I think it came up. So you just can, right? So if you just give Sterling B2B integrator documentation, right? And maybe you, let me see, I'll give you something called 603. Okay, see here, maybe if I go here, so if you want to learn more, uh, change the version. See, if you just do a Google, right, okay, and you see, okay, 5.2 is something which is right now out of support, but the latest version is 6.11. I think there's some background noise, okay. Someone is, okay, great, thank you. Yeah. So if you see, right, okay, if you do a Google and then just go to the link, okay, that is provided, okay, and you can change the version, okay. So ideally, if you see anything from 6.0, those are the latest versions, and the latest version, if you see, is the 6.11. So you want to go to the latest version of thing, okay, because there are certain functionalities that gets updated in each and every version that IBM releases, right? So you may want to go to the latest version if you want to, okay, and you want to like learn more about the things, okay, that I was speaking about, okay. See, if you see what's new in Sterling Integrator, what are the system requirements, the B2B services and adapters, right? So you can learn each and everything, right? Okay, I will say everything is out here, okay. If you want to know more about details, okay, you want to go if you want to do some kind of like, let's say, let me show you the full table contents. So what's new in this release, right? And then you want to learn more about Sterling Integrator, what's new in this version, what is there? And then what's deprecated, what is being removed, right? And then how do you download the media? So and then if you see installation, right? If you want to install in a Windows box, if you want to install in a Linux box, okay, so all those kind of information are everything over here, okay. And if you want to learn about these services and adapters I was speaking about, right? uh, and then the different service and adapters that are available, if you see over here, if you click on A to L, that means it will list all the services that starts with A or L till, okay. So it will give you all the, see, these are all. So if you click on each of them, these are like services, okay, that you use in your business process, okay, what it does, right? So all kind of information is over here, okay, if you want to learn more about the details, okay. The typical important thing, okay, other than the business process, is your mapping part of it. So let me quickly show that, okay, because that's what I wanted to show you. So if you see under deployment, right, you have something called maps, okay. Maps are nothing but the translation maps that we were speaking about, converting file from one format to another format. So if you click on maps, right, there is a button called download map editor, okay. So if I click on this, okay, after installation, okay, if you see, it will download it for me in the download folder, and it's an exe file. So when I say exe file, that means that this is the only component, okay, this map editor, okay, within Sterling Integrator, that you can install it on your local, okay, because it's an exe file, right? So but the caveat of that is, okay, you can install it, okay, and you can create your own maps, or if you have already existing, or you can take a look, you can even develop a map. But the problem is, if you want to execute it, if you want to compile it, right, after you have created it, that's where you need a server, okay, because once you have developed, okay, the compilation and the testing part of it, there has to be a physical server where it has to be run. So you need to give the parameters of the server where it is running, where the application is running, okay, because it uses this application, Sterling application, to compile and run it and give you the results. So that's where you will get stuck, okay. But at least till that, okay, you can at least create a map or see how the mapping works and everything. You can do those kind of things, okay, in your local, okay. So when you install this, okay, map editor, it will be something like this. You can open it from your programs, and then it looks like this, right? It looks like this, right? And then if you want to create a new map, you can go ahead and create a new map. If you want to open an existing map, if you want to, like, let's say I have some maps, right? I want to, I'll show you, like, maybe if I go to downloads, and maybe if I want to open a map, right? So a map would look like this, for example, right? You have a left hand side window, a right hand side window, right? So left hand side is nothing but this is the let me expand entire map, okay. So if you see, left hand side is this is your source format, okay. Right hand side is your target format, right? So let's say if I receive a file which is maybe an XML file, right? And I want to convert it to an EDI file. So your XML file structure would be on the left hand side, that is your source format. Right hand side would be your target format, that is your EDI format, right? So something like if I open a EDI file itself, EDI map, I can show you that. maybe outbound flat file. Yeah. So this is a, if you see, this is a map which is where this left hand side, okay, or the source format is a flat file, and on the right hand side, that is a 875. This is a purchase order file, that is a EDI file. So we are generating a from a flat file an EDI file format. And if you see, there are direct links. Direct links means if you is just passing the same information from this tab or from this element to the corresponding EDI element. Okay, so everything is based out of your mapping requirement specifications. Okay, so you need to write your map based on the specifications. Okay, how do you map it? And there are like there are places. Okay, like I just wanted to quickly show you quick things. So if you see and then if you see, let me show you that one first. So if you see over here, right, you have rules. You can write rules over here. There are certain rules which you can write in the extended rule, where you can do more complex logic, if else statements and everything. You have something called standard rules, where you can do, like, let's say I want to use a system variable, okay, and I want to update current date time, right? So there are already some existing standard rules available to do certain things. But if you want to go beyond that and you have to write certain complex logic because of the mapping requirement and the way you have to write the rules, you can use extended rules, right? Okay, and then there is something called, if you see over here, let me show you, session rules, right? You have pre-sessions, okay, where you can declare some variables, right? You can write, okay, who is the author of the this map, right? So you can write the map name, whether it's a generic map or not, what is the description, purchase order, when was it created, and who created your name, and things like that. You can write it. And then if you see, these are variable declaration. These are all nothing but you are declaring different global variables that you would be using, okay, in your in the like extended rules, right? In the extended rules I was showing, okay, you can have some variables that you need. Okay, so for that you need to initialize those variables, right? Or you can initialize at the extended rule level. You can initialize in the pre-session rules as well, right? There's something called pre-session, and then there's something called post-session rules, right? So you can use those. So there are different places where you can write different rules, and you need to learn, okay, where to write what. And then I think these things would be more covered in your mapping sessions, okay, where the people will take you how to actually develop a map based on a mapping requirement specifically. How would you I know where to write the rules and things like that, right? So those they will take you more in detail, okay, in those sessions. But I just wanted to show you, okay, this is the interface of writing a map and compiling it, and then uploading it into the application, okay, somewhere. If you see, okay, you can check in the map here after you have created the map and compiled and tested everything. You can check in your new map from map editor. Okay, so all kind of maps, if you see, if you list here, I have all the maps over here, right? So different kind of maps, I have everything uploaded here. And then I will use this map in the business process that I'm going to design. Okay, so I'm not going to use it just like that. Okay, I have to use these maps in the business processes that you see over here. Okay, I need to call that map, okay, when needed, right? So that's how you are integrating a business process and a map in a workflow, right? So I think I'm pretty much done for today's session.